Angel Reese just dropped a bombshell that has the entire WNBA shaking right now. Multiple teams are already circling like sharks, and what happens next could completely reshape the league's power structure. The Chicago Sky star, who averaged 14 points and 12 rebounds this season, has officially checked out, and the fallout is getting messier by the minute. This isn't just another trade rumor anymore. Sources inside the Chicago organization are confirming what we've all suspected. Angel Reese is done with the Sky, and they're done with her. The breaking point came when she refused to enter the game in the second half, claiming back issues, then sat out the next game entirely. But here's what nobody's talking about. This has been brewing for months behind closed doors. Before we dive into the shocking details, make sure you hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell, because this story is developing fast and you don't want to miss what happens next. The tension between Reese and the Sky organization reached a boiling point this past week. Multiple sources within the team have revealed that players, coaches, and front office executives are beyond frustrated with how things ended. One insider told reporters, quote, "We know they're not happy with her," unquote, which might be the understatement of the year. The Sky invested heavily in Reese, signing her to a 4-year, $324,000 contract in 2024, with her set to make $82,000 next season and a club option worth $93,000 for 2027. But that contract might end up being her ticket out of Chicago. Teams around the league are already doing the math, realizing they could get one of the WNBA's top rebounders at a bargain price for multiple seasons. Reese has put up 49 career double-doubles in just 64 games with the Sky, numbers that would make any general manager take notice. She's shooting 45% from the field, 75% from the free throw line, though her 18% from beyond the arc needs serious work. What makes this situation even more explosive is the timing. The Sky are heading toward another missed playoff opportunity, sitting among the worst teams in the league. Reese has been vocal about her frustration with the team's direction, recently stating she needs to be surrounded by great players, not just good ones. She even hinted at potentially moving in a different direction if things don't improve, and now it looks like that's exactly what's happening. But here's where things get really interesting. The Dallas Wings have emerged as the frontrunner in this sweepstakes, and the connection they're hoping to create could shift the entire balance of power in the Western Conference. Dallas already has their guard of the future locked in with Paige Bueckers, and pairing her with Angel Reese could create a dynamic that finally challenges Caitlin Clark's dominance with the Indiana Fever. The Wings are in desperate need of long-term pieces beyond Bueckers, and Reese has shown serious development as a secondary ball handler and playmaker this season. Her defensive presence and rebounding would complement Bueckers perfectly, creating a two-way force that could terrorize opponents for years. But Dallas would have to give up serious assets to make this happen. We're talking potential lottery picks in 2026 and 2027, which is a massive gamble for a franchise that's been struggling. Here's the twist nobody saw coming though. Dallas currently holds a top 2 pick in the upcoming draft, and they'd likely have to include that in any package for Reese. The question becomes whether they'd rather take someone like Lauren Betts from UCLA or Olivia Miles from TCU with that pick, or cash it in now for a proven commodity in Reese. Sources close to the Wings organization suggest they're seriously considering pulling the trigger, especially since Bueckers has reportedly expressed interest in playing alongside a dominant inside presence. But Dallas isn't the only team making moves. The Washington Mystics have quietly positioned themselves as serious contenders for Reese's services. They're sitting on 3 first-round picks in the 2026 draft, including what's expected to be a lottery selection. The Mystics also have young talent like Aaliyah Edwards and Jade Melbourne who could entice Chicago into making a deal. The problem is the fit alongside their current roster. With players who already clog the paint, adding Reese might create spacing issues that could limit her effectiveness. What's really shocking is how the Atlanta Dream have entered the conversation. Fresh off a stellar campaign where they climbed to the top of the Eastern Conference, Atlanta seems like the last team that would need to make a splash move. But with Brittany Griner turning 34 and her production declining significantly this season, the Dream are looking ahead to their future frontcourt needs. Griner was moved to the bench recently, a clear signal that changes are coming. Reese in Atlanta makes almost too much sense. She'd anchor a talented defensive unit while having 2 years of team control remaining, giving the Dream flexibility to let Griner walk after this season. Plus, the Atlanta market and lifestyle might appeal to Reese's off-court brand-building aspirations. Sources say she's already had informal conversations with Dream players about what playing in Atlanta would be like. Then there's the dark horse candidate that nobody's talking about, the Seattle Storm. They've been quietly rebuilding and have the assets to make a competitive offer. offer. The Storm's front office has a history of making bold moves when opportunities present themselves, and landing Reese would accelerate their timeline significantly. They could package young players with draft picks to create an offer Chicago couldn't refuse. Even the Connecticut Sun have thrown their hat in the ring, though that might be the worst case scenario for Reese. Connecticut has the draft capital and young players to make a deal work, but the market and team culture might not align with what Reese is looking for. Still, if they make the best offer, Chicago might not care about Reese's preferences. What makes this entire situation even more complex is the ripple effect it would have across the league. If Reese teams up with Bueckers in Dallas, it creates a new super team dynamic that could challenge the Indiana Fever's rise with Caitlin Clark and Aaliyah Boston. Clark has been absolutely dominant this season, and adding Sophie Cunningham to that Indiana roster only made them more dangerous. The league needs teams that can compete with that firepower, and a Reese-Bueckers combination might be the answer. But here's what sources are telling us behind the scenes that changes everything. Reese's camp has been actively reaching out to certain teams, essentially trying to control where she lands. This isn't just about basketball anymore. It's about market size, endorsement opportunities, and building her brand beyond the court. She wants a situation where she can be a focal point offensively while playing in a major market that supports her off-court endeavors. The timing of this couldn't be worse for Chicago. They're trying to build around Camila Cardoso, and losing Reese would leave them scrambling to find another piece to pair with their young center. If they trade Reese for a top draft pick, they could target someone like Olivia Miles to run the point, creating a different kind of core to build around. But that would essentially mean admitting failure on the Reese experiment after just 2 seasons. What's really fascinating is how this situation developed. Multiple team sources have confirmed that the relationship between Reese and the coaching staff deteriorated rapidly over the past month. There were disagreements about her role in the offense, her shot selection, and most importantly, her commitment to team concepts. The back injury situation was apparently the final straw, with some teammates questioning whether she was really hurt or just checked out mentally. The financial implications of this trade are huge too. Whoever acquires Reese gets her at an incredibly team-friendly number for the next 2 to 3 years. In an era where max contracts are becoming more common in the WNBA, having a double-double machine making under $100,000 per year is a massive advantage. Teams could surround her with other talent while staying under the salary cap restrictions. Dallas seems to be the most aggressive suitor right now. Their general manager has been working the phones constantly, trying to gauge Chicago's asking price while also exploring 3-team trade scenarios that might make the deal more palatable. The Wings know that pairing Bueckers with Reese could instantly make them relevant again after years of mediocrity. But Atlanta might have the inside track that nobody's considering. The Dream's success this season gives them credibility, and they can offer Reese something Dallas can't: immediate playoff contention. Playing alongside established stars while being groomed as the franchise's future cornerstone could be exactly what Reese needs to take her game to the next level. The wild card in all of this is whether Chicago even trades her at all. They could try to repair the relationship, though sources say that ship has sailed. The trust is broken on both sides, and keeping an unhappy star rarely works out well for anyone involved. The Sky need to maximize their return while Reese's value is still high, especially with 2 years of control remaining. What nobody's talking about is how this affects the upcoming draft. If Dallas trades their top 2 pick for Reese, it completely changes the draft landscape. Teams picking 3rd through 5th suddenly have access to players they never thought would be available. This could trigger a domino effect of trades as teams scramble to position themselves for the players they want. The league office is watching this situation closely too. Having one of their marketable young stars forcing her way out of a major market like Chicago isn't ideal for the WNBA's image. But if she lands in Dallas with Bueckers or joins the Dream's exciting young core, it could create new storylines and rivalries that boost interest in the league. Reese's camp has been strategic about this entire process. They haven't publicly demanded a trade, which keeps her trade value high while maintaining plausible deniability. But make no mistake, this is a coordinated effort to get her out of Chicago and into a situation she views as better for her career and brand. The next 48 hours are going to be crucial. Teams need to finalize their offers, and Chicago has to decide whether they're really ready to move on from a player they viewed as a cornerstone just months ago. The Sky's front office is reportedly meeting around the clock, weighing their options and trying to determine which offer gives them the best chance to rebuild quickly. If I had to bet on where she ends up, Dallas makes the most sense from a basketball perspective. Bueckers needs a running mate, and Reese's skill set would thrive alongside an elite perimeter player. But don't count out Atlanta's appeal or Seattle's ability to surprise everyone with a Godfather offer Chicago can't refuse. This situation is far from over, and the ramifications will be felt throughout the WNBA for years to come. Make sure you're subscribed and hit that notification bell, because when this trade finally goes down, you'll want to be the first to know. Drop a comment below with where you think Angel Reese will end up, and whether teaming with Paige Bueckers would be enough to challenge Caitlin Clark's dominance. This story is developing by the hour, and the next update could change everything.